I have two different posts to put in this one video. This was posted in the Vent subreddit. She says, men expect too much in this modern day and age. Honestly, I'm so tired of these extreme expectations for women. Men want 50-50 paid everything on top of us taking care of them. Okay, so you want me to do what you're doing, but also do your laundry, make you food, clean our place, and God's forbid, take care of kids on top of all of that, all on my own. No, thank you. Oh, but don't forget, you have to look like a supermodel on top of everything. I have to work out, have flawless skin, makeup skills, and fashion skills, which took me a while to balance. Yeah, in today's economy, I'm going to need 50-50 on everything, help around the place, help with dinner every night, help paying bills, and everything in between. I'm supposed to be a partner, and that's something I don't think some men are grasping in today's modern day and age. I am not asking for a millionaire or anything crazy, just a funny, sweet, protective, and caring partner who genuinely wants 50-50, one who takes care of themselves too, just showers regularly, brushes their teeth, and maybe combs their hair. I don't know why it's so hard to find him. Disclaimer, I know not all men have these crazy expectations, but I'm definitely running into quite a few of them, and I just needed to vent. I also wanted to place some things into perspective. Hope this opens someone's eyes and helps a little bit. So that is a woman's perspective. Let's look at a few of the comments, and then I'm going to shift my focus. Obviously, the Vent subreddit is not like a feminist subreddit or a woman's subreddit. This has both men and women. So let's look and see what the comments look like. Crypto Minch says, the ones that really last aren't 50-50, they're 100-100. Both partners do everything they can to make the other happy, and both are too busy being happy to keep score. Alarmed Speaker says, my parents always said that marriage is not 50-50, it's 100-100, and they were right. Sailor Propane said, I once read that a relationship should be 60-40, with both parties trying to be the 60. Groundbreaking Web said, I like this a lot. 77 Gaia says, ask the ex to put his socks in the laundry basket instead of near it. I was still doing the laundry but refused to look under furniture for socks playing hide and seek. If he had no clean socks, he just bought new ones. Asked him to alternate nights, feeding himself and our son as we were both working full time. He either sabotaged the meal so badly that they couldn't eat it, or just wait until I got home and suggested takeaway. Weaponized incompetence. I didn't know what needed using up first, and I didn't want to spoil your plans for tomorrow. Yeah, I'll get around to it. I got around to the divorce after 20 years once our boy was at uni. They're not all like that. I married one that was like that. Shamefully Epic says, I'm happily married to my partner of just under a quarter of a century, and I say it's best to not look for exact anything in a marriage, especially equality. Fairness and support are valuable, but they should not be measured and held accountable for unless there is a massive discrepancy. When I was bedded for over a week with illness, my husband didn't add it to a tally that he expects to be squared up. When I put in more time on gift buying and clothes selection, it's not begrudgingly, it's because I'm best suited to that. I will paint the walls and he will do electrical work. Life happens like watercolor brushes getting stirred and cleaned in a jar of water. It's not paint by numbers. Marriage should be two people who are equally happy and who try their best, but more importantly, work together and enjoy life. That is wonderful. How often are you finding the give and take, the support, the reciprocity? No, everything won't be equal, but is it at least somewhat fair, where it's not all the effort on one party, typically the woman, and not enough effort from the dude? It's great that she found someone that balances things out. What I'm seeing today, so many women are not finding that. Now let's get on to part 2 of this video. Keep in mind, before I switch to part 2, this is what she said: men expect too much in this modern day and age. So that was part 1. Part 2 is in the dating advice subreddit. Daddy Clapping Cheeks says, is dating for men harder today than it used to be even 5 years ago? So the men are starting to see that it is challenging out there. So let's see some of the answers. There's no post. It was just a question. Viotic says, is this a joke? It's damn near impossible. Confident Listen says, isn't that the truth? Daddy Clapping Cheeks, the OP says, literally got way more girls before with half the effort. What the F is this? Inflation? Charger says, I grew up with AOL chat rooms and instant messenger in MySpace. My good man, it was like shooting fish in a barrel. God damn, I do miss that era. Alone Psychology says, for some of us, it wasn't so easy back then either. Rogue says, yes, LOL. Now we have a woman answering this question. This is also men and women because this is just dating advice. Vulcan Cookie says, personally, as a woman with the rise of the manosphere, anti-women sentiments being spouted directly from the White House, I don't know if you're American or in the US, everything getting more expensive and generally just the state of dating, I've completely stopped being open to going on dates in the past few years. I have 7 close female friends and sisters who are not already married. Not one has gone on a date in the past year. And while it's an anecdotal statement combined with a biased sample size, I don't think we're alone. The dating environment was already extremely imbalanced. Women were about half as likely to be open to a short or long-term relationship than men pre-COVID. But now it's so skewed, I'm always amazed to meet anyone who is still regularly going on dates. COVID changed things. COVID really seemed to crack the dating game. It's just like what happened with nursing and teachers. Women are just like absolutely done. They are done being in close confines with these men. They were like, nope, I am not dealing with this. And men are seeing it, but I don't think that they're seeing the reasons why women are opting out because men rarely listen to what women are saying. At the bottom, JB Forever says, very interesting point. Reasonable Coyote says, is this inflation? And this person says it's actually called hoflation. So this is how they are talking. This is how the men are talking. Women are sitting up here having real conversations and trying to discuss the issues. And they're sitting up here talking about, is this inflation or hoflation, and kind of chuckling about it. Big Building says, yes, sadly, it's just the psychology of unlimited options, I think. There's no real stakes to ghosting someone if the conversation gets even remotely boring because you can just swipe and start a new one, especially in our generation of needing constant dopamine hits. I'm a generally attractive woman and have men just stop replying early on in conversation on apps. I don't really have convos and DMs. To be fair, I do the same, but usually only if there's very little effort in asking questions or making the convo interesting, or if they say things that just don't sit right with me. It honestly just feels impossible online these days, and I think that's both for women and men. But hey, at least we're all having a terrible time together, with the exception that women are just done looking. And this is typically for the women that are straight, that are still, straight. Like, obviously, you don't really have a choice in your sexuality. But women are just like, yeah, I'm just going to pull away completely and just go do my own thing over there. Downtown Process says, yeah, dating has definitely gotten way harder for guys in the past few years. The apps have gotten more competitive, attention spans are shorter, and everyone got way more options now. Instagram/social media has made it worse too. Girls get flooded with DMs constantly, so you really got to stand out. You're just another message in the pile. Plus, everyone's getting more picky and less willing to give people a chance, especially since men are still treating women like wife appliances, bang maids, and incubators. They're still not seeing the humanity in us, and they still have not learned the word reciprocity. That is what I am seeing. Weaponized incompetence is still the thing, and men won't do their part as far as participating in the household. That's why women in relationships are walking away from relationships, and child-free and single women see what's going on in these poopy relationships. So I just wanted to point out the juxtaposition and show y'all that men are seeing it. They just still refuse to put it together as far as the reasons why and adapt. Let me know what you think about these two put together.
Put that man on child support, even if you know he's not going to pay it. Let me tell you why. When I worked...
I love everything about this video and all of the comments. It just warms my heart. We're about to go through some of the comments. But she says, I say this once a year. I also remind people to get insurance on their significant others that you own and pay the premium on. This is what the caption is saying. But what she is saying in the video is saying, even if you know that you're not going to get that child support at that time, still put that child support order in and go to court. And all of the comments were amazing. If you're on TikTok, go watch the video. If you are on my YouTube, I'm definitely going to attach her video. This is an amazing story. I love the comments. It makes me feel all warm inside when people who have not been getting child support get a lump sum of money out of the blue. Child support is a reimbursement. The custodial parent pays out their part and the non-custodial's part. So you are getting paid back that money that that other parent was supposed to be paying. So if you get a lump sum, that is your money and you deserve it. Let's go over some of these comments. Jess says, a queen, no notes, we salute you. And I do believe that people do need this reminder. They could say, yes, I know I'm not going to get any money, but you need a reminder. And these comments are a reminder that sometimes, yes, you will get that money just later on down the line. Meeker says, my child will be getting that man's Social Security, and he's already $30,000 in arrears. This debt does not leave. These people can think that they're ducking and dodging, but that debt doesn't leave. Mickey Kendall says, my ex won money and I got it. He's still mad, but he hadn't paid in years. At the bottom, GMAC says, I'm a 59-year-old family law attorney. After I graduated law school, my deadbeat dad inherited a house. Boom, we took it. I did the closing. Gotta love that one. Gotta love that one. Amazon Queen says, yep, just got $32,000 in back child support 3 weeks ago, and I cried for 2 days straight. Yes, oh, I can just imagine. Kenya the Great says, my sister's baby daddy won the lottery for $85,000. His payout was $2,000. My niece, his daughter, is 31. My sister paid her house off. He was sick with anger. These people should be sick that they've been a deadbeat for this long, but that doesn't impact them. Rachel says, my dad owed my mom child support and her lawyer put a lien on his house. My father's notary didn't know and sold the house to a couple. My mom became half owner of the house with the couple, got the back child support, and made my dad's notary pay her a lump sum. Jay says, mine just won $2,000 in the casino. Child support took it, and I put it towards my son's college tuition. Situationship says, my mom got $10,000 this past spring. I'm 28. We had a ball this summer. The Real Lady L says, in Canada, they post names and pictures of the deadbeats to our government website for all to see. They also post how much they owe. Prince says, ooh, the child support lady just sent a mother a check for $60,000. His mama passed and it was the insurance payout. Every dime went to back child support. Dude was on the phone crying. Life of Shy says, my dad thought he was out of the woods because I'm an adult. But as soon as he turned 65, child support took his Social Security checks. These dudes better get themselves together. You know, everybody keeps, a lot of people, not everybody, people want to come down on single mothers, but single mothers are out here doing the work and making sure that they take care of the kids' needs, even if the dad can opt in or opt out. I definitely suggest putting a person on a court-ordered child support, not I'll give you $150 a week. We can just keep it. Nope. Because you never know if they are just going to have a whim where they say, nope, I'm not paying you anymore. Make it court ordered, make it automatic debit. And when they decide to not pay, you snatch that retirement, you snatch that inheritance, you snatch whatever earnings they might eventually get. I Am Sylvia says they took his business loan, $25,000 slipped right through his hands. He thought he was bigger than the program. Ray says my ex's baby mama got $18,000 from a settlement. He was rubbing his hands like Birdman only to see $27 deposited. Savage Peggy says, no lie. My ex thought he won a huge lawsuit talking about what he was going to buy and do with his winnings. Then the big day came. I got a check for $85,000 and he got nada. Can I Live says, I worked at a bank and they froze/took 6 figures. He was heated. The child was 40 something. Listen to her. All of this goes hand in hand with one of the reasons why I believe that women are checking out and not even wanting to do the whole parenting situation. Because regardless, the custodial parents will pay. And let's be real, typically the custodial parent will be the mom. The dudes can opt in or opt out of being in the child's life. The dudes can opt in or opt out of, providing any kind of financial support. They can opt in or opt out. The women cannot. So other people see this. Other people see that the financial burden is going to be typically on the mom. So this is the reason why some of these child-free women are opting to stay child-free. None of this stuff happens in a vacuum. Go ahead and let me know what you think about all of this.
Put that man on child support, even if you know he's not going to pay it. Let me tell you why. When I worked in insurance defense, one of my favorite things to do before we were going to pay out a claim was to check every jurisdiction where that man used to live and see if I could find any outstanding child support orders. And they didn't make it easy. This was years ago, so maybe it's easier now. But back then, I might get put on hold for a long time. I might have to beg for a call back. But when I finally got that information that allowed us to pay out that child support order, a lot of times it was in arrears 15 years, 20 years, but that money is coming, okay? So there's a possibility that you might be in your 60s, your kids might be fully grown, but you could still potentially get that money if that man comes up on anything. So go ahead, go through the trouble of getting that child support order and keep your address updated. Chin up, mama.
One thing I can't stand is when parents, when they have a bunch of kids, only to make typically the oldest child, most usually the daughter, become a second or third parent. Why have these children if you don't have the capacity to parent your own children? The children have no say in whether you're having kids or not. They do absolutely none of the actions to create children, yet you are stealing their childhood. You're stealing their life because of the choices that you made. And I believe that that is completely unfair. And when these child-free people, a lot of these child-free people are child-free because they had to be parents in their childhood and they had no say in it. So, and that's what a lot of the women are saying when they comment on my post. They said, I've already done my time as a parent and they don't want to be a parent anymore. Many times because of the actions of their own parents. She says, Mom had a child. 5 years ago, my mom said she wanted another child. I begged her not to have one because I knew she'd make it my responsibility. She said I was ridiculous. Guess who no longer sleeps in during the mornings because of a screaming child? Me. Guess who makes her breakfast every morning? Me. Guess who looks after her every single day while mother is at work? Me. Her father is not in her life. I'm a primary caretaker of a child I never pushed out and begged her not to have. I'm so depressed and at my limit. Just had to let it out. It is absolutely unfair to create a situation and then make someone else clean up that situation. Stop having kids that you cannot take care of. It is not fair to the other children in your life. Distant Diamond Sky says, how old are you? Is it possible for you to put some boundaries down? And then the OP says, 23, recent grad, so I'm not working yet and live with my mom. Therefore, I pay in cleaning, cooking, and childcare. I just hate the fact that she had a child, knowing she would push the child onto me. She was never a great parent. I don't know why she chose this. She would beat me often and clearly hated motherhood. I couldn't say no to looking after her since no one else will do it if I don't. I'm the oldest and my younger siblings are immature, so it's automatically on me. She's beside me screaming for a second ice cream right now. Cat God says, OP, no matter how guilty you feel, this is not your responsibility. If I were you, I would get any job I can and find a roommate/rent a room. Your mental health will thank you. Pebby says, holy crap, how old is your mom to be having another kid if you're 23? And then the OP says she's 42. Pebby says, holy crap, how old is your mom to be having another kid if you're 23? And the OP says she's 42. So I'm wondering how many kids she's had in total, because she says my younger siblings. She's obviously started having kids really young and just kept on having kids. Why have this many kids in this day and age when there is birth control? Why have this many kids if you hate motherhood? Real Tiger Cub Gaming says, I agree. Any job would get you out of there. I had abusive parents, so I had to start working at 16 to pay rent. Went to school, went to work, and then went out and had fun for a few hours. You can do it if you really want your freedom bad enough. Runaway Angel says, this is the way. Any job at all, find roommates and get out. Heck, even without roommates, it gets OP out of the house and either forces mom to deal with her own child or gives OP a valid reason to get CPS involved, because a 5-year-old obviously can't be left alone an entire workday. Distant Diamond Sky says, you shouldn't have to take care of a child you didn't have. Is there another family member you can reach out to? Parentification of older children is a form of abuse. Also, if she hits you, who knows if she's doing the same to your younger siblings? Is calling CPS an option? Is clearly not a safe environment for y'all. Set It to Normal says, is it still parentification when you're a full adult? I'm not arguing that this situation is, but I tend to use the term to refer to minor children who are being forced to provide childcare, not adults who have the ability to leave and not do it. She says, yep, you're still the kid of a parent who chose to have another kid and make you raise the kid you never have. I agree with Distant Diamond Sky. She's 23 now and she just graduated college. She clearly doesn't have many options, and mom is saying, cool. And like she said in the comments, she's paying in cooking, cleaning, and caretaking. So, once she gets out, this mother is going to have to figure out how to mother her own child. But still, why do this? Why do this to yourself? Why do this to the other kids? These kids didn't ask to be born. This is another reason why I don't like it when parents have children just so they can have caretakers in their elderly life, because you're basically birthing a child to have a job. You're birthing a child to be in a laborious role. Stop doing that. You have children because you want to have children, but you're not supposed to give them responsibilities. They are human. They get to come out and create the life that they want. But you are having kids just so you can put them into a job. And I think that that is completely unfair. Big Morning says, from a psychological standpoint, especially since OP was 18 or so when the kid was born, I absolutely think this is parentification. At 18, OP could have still been in high school. From a more legal perspective, not a lawyer, I'm not sure that this youngest sibling would count towards an abuse allegation for child abuse of OP, given that OP is an adult who does have the legal ability to leave. However, from what it sounds like, there may have been parentification regards to caretaking of the other siblings while OP was a minor. And then at the bottom, this person says, don't know. I moved out the minute I turned 18, but it's normal in my culture. We thrive for early independence. And early independence is great. Being able to move out on your own is great. But we can't look at these things in a vacuum. Right now, the economy sucks. Right now, the cost of living sucks. And I don't know where everybody is, but cost of living is high and wages are not very high. And when you're fresh out of college, obviously you don't have the work experience to be able to get out on your own as easily as I could have, in the early 2000s or whatnot. So we can't look at things in a vacuum. Hopefully this young lady, I know she says she's depressed and all of this. Hopefully she can create a plan and execute and get out of there. Because like she said, she didn't choose to have this child. She actively said, please don't do this. Please don't do this. So I do hope that she's able to create a plan, execute, and get out of there. But the thing is, when parents do this, they have all these kids. I don't know why, but they make it so that the older children who had no choices, that they want to go low or no contact. So you're still having all these kids only to still fracture your own family. Join the conversation, y'all. Let me know what you think on this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
I've been straight now for almost 30 days, leaving behind my old life and all of the gays, embarking on a new journey to find a woman that's right for me, although it's been a struggle to hide the fact that I'm still a little fruity. Alas, I found a girl through a mutual friend, and I'm hoping she'll put my homosexual life to an end. I need a woman to take away the gay thoughts in my mind, so I forget the way I used to enjoy when males would bump and grind. We're going on a casual coffee date just this afternoon, so you know what that means. We'll be getting married soon. We talked over text, and she seems like a great fit. I need to meet this chick to make sure she's legit. I promised myself that I'd take it slow this time, but if I like her, I won't hesitate to quickly make her mine. Yes, I'm excited, but please don't make a fuss. I don't want to get my hopes up to later have them crushed. What if the date fails and all goes wrong? What if I realize that I was meant to be with men all along?